Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for attending the April 17th, 2023 SID meeting. I would like this moment, if you will, if we could have a moment of silence. Thank you. Could we have a chance to approve the agenda? Please take a look at that and make a motion.
I make a motion we approve the agenda.
I'll second that.
Motion's been made by Mr. Nebel to approve the agenda, seconded by Mr. Kaiser. Any discussion? Susan, you good?
Yeah.
Joe?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
Tony? Motion carries. Agenda is approved. Our next action is to approve the minutes from the last two meetings, the special meeting we had on the 6th of March, as well as our regular SID meeting on the 20th of March. I have a motion to approve the minutes from the March 6th meeting.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes for the March 6th meeting.
I second.
Motion's been made by Ms. Jett to approve the minutes from the March 6th meeting, seconded by Mr. Nebel. Any discussion? Tony, you good?
Good.
David?
Yes.
Joe?
Yes.
Susan?
I'm fine.
Motion carries.
Make a motion that we approve the minutes for the March 20th meeting.
Motion's been made to approve the minutes for the March 20 meeting. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Mr. Kaiser. Any discussion? Susan?
No, sir.
Joe?
Yes.
You're
No,
good?
no discussion. I was voting yes, sorry.
We voted yes for Mr. Kaiser. Mr. Nebel?
I approve.
Tony? Motion carries. Minutes are approved.
Do you have the originals and we'll,
I have the originals right here.
they already signed?
And I've signed mine, so we just need to get them signed, Susan.
Starting to Joe and Kaiser get them.
They have been misplaced in the past. At this point, we'd like to open the floor for property owners' comments. Please limit those to 3 minutes, and please state your name and your address when you're addressing the commission.
I'll just hold it, you'll have to fill it.
Somebody would like to come behind you. There you go.
Larry Gorski, 218 East Lakeshore Drive. Betsy, this is for you.
Okay,
I heard a rumor, so before I go any further, I'm right to you.
okay.
Are you not going to have anybody at the beach watching it?
Not during the week, it's not our plan right now. We're hoping that weekends, there's going to be when we'll man the back house, and during the week when our employees are working, they will open it up, they
So
will
who's
go.
going to be watching for SID cars, who's going to be monitoring all that?
It's going to be more of a drive-through and check than it is to pay someone to sit there for hours that nobody comes. That seems to be our problem during the week.
Until everybody from the other communities find out that nobody's over there, then it's going to be hectic.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
It's something I'll definitely watch and
I'll let you know.
thank you. Thanks, Larry. I appreciate you.
Larry, please feel free to contact any of us. We're all ambassadors.
Or just call the office.
Thank you. Thank you for coming to me. I appreciate that.
Yes, sir. Thanks.
I'm Karen P.E.G, 35 Cherokee Road. The chairman has nothing to do with this. He doesn't even know that I'm saying this. But what I'm curious about is I've been watching these meetings for years. I've come to them before any of y'all were on this group. I know that all the people were appointed before and not elected. And what I'm curious about is why the general manager is not directly working and talking to and having eye contact with commissioners as she's doing her job during this meeting. As it's been going more and more facing this way as if you're a commissioner versus an employee. You know, I don't understand why when you're asked questions like that, you're talking to us. What I recall as coming to these meetings over and over before the change was that the general manager was facing her bosses essentially, you know, the people that she's reporting to, instead of reporting to these people. You know, these people elected them for you to tell them what's going on. So it's just a question. I don't need an answer.
I would be
I don't
happy
need
to
an answer. I just
Well, we have, but we
just
have,
want to bring that up. It's very important. You know, this dynamic is changing, but I don't need any answers.
Well, I would like to reply if that's okay.
yes, please.
The reason that my desk has moved over to this direction is because the person who volunteered to take our video said that I was sitting outside of the frame and it was harder to be able to get everyone up here. So a few months ago is when I moved the table closer so that when he videotapes that I was able to be seen and I wasn't in the way of the people that were speaking. It has nothing to do with disrespect or not speaking to the commissioners, but I do answer to all of the property owners as well. So it wasn't meant to be disrespectful.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other property owner comments at this time?
Yes.
Please address the,
Want me to bring you the microphone?
Here, Miss Betsy. Here, Betsy.
I got it.
David's got it.
This is an official government meeting.
you are, and where do
Steve
you
Lawrence,
live?
158 East Lakeshore Drive, Cherokee Road. That's him. The presence of a flag and of course there should be a pledge of allegiance to that flag. This is government. It's for the community. And I think it's kind of odd that we shouldn't have those things present when we have such a meeting. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Something we can take into consideration.
That begins to look like the city council meeting at that point.
What?
That begins to look like the city council meeting at that point.
I still didn't hear what you said, each page.
It looks like we might as well be in the city council meeting.
Do you have a green button on your microphone?
Yep.
Okay.
Any other property owner comments? Thank you, Mr. Martin, for your comments.
Okay, I noticed that you've got on here.
Name and address, please.
Oh, I'm sorry, Kathy Ingalls. 19 Ontario Lane, Cherokee Village. I noticed you've got golf updated rules and regulations on here, and there's been kind of a spillover of arguments over if anyone has any right to walk on the sidewalks over there. People do. There was one woman who had kind of a veiled threat thrown at her, and I think we're just kind of in a transition, you know, where the city's trying to update, get grants, put in some sidewalkways. We're trying to get caught up. The dog pound doesn't always have anybody, mostly doesn't have anyone to pick dogs up. What do you do when there is an outbreak of rabies at this time of year and you've got loose dogs and you don't know whose they are, they don't have tags, so they want to walk somewhere safe. So I guess what I'm suggesting is that just if you could be a little lenient for these people for a little time. I realize the golfers pay fees, but I'm asking you guys that golf to realize that the homeowners here have paid, what is it, Betsy, about the over amount for the you know, the golf course is not self-supporting. So there's a large amount of money that we all do pay for that, even if we're not golfers. So if we could just be respectful and nice and say, okay, maybe these are the best times, you know, if you're gonna walk, or maybe these are bad times, that sort of thing, until we get through with all this transition and not make any rules to kick somebody off, because I think that's a mess. Because we do pay, we're at, you know, for this exclusivity, and it should be here. The golf prices would be so much higher if everybody didn't chip in. But that being said, I digress. So,
Thank you.
Thank you, Kathy, I appreciate that.
yeah.
I have addressed that with some people and asked them to please walk early in the morning or near dusk at times over on the North Golf Course, because there's a lady who's, quote, lived here for 40 years who came over and told me that P.E.G is a four-letter word. And she wanted to be able to go anytime she wanted, but we did have some issues with some of the ladies walking right in front of the golfers as they were attempting to tee off. And that was kind of the issue that we tried to rectify, because we didn't have that many. But thank you for bringing that up.
As a city official, Peter Martin, 17 Cherokee Drive, Cherokee Village. As a city official, I cannot tell people what to do or how to do it in the property. And I strongly suggest you as members of SID do not jump on that train and go out there and try to tell people what they can and cannot do. That's what you have a manager for. And the reason why is if there is any sort of lawsuit or something happens and you as a director are directly involved in it, then you're going to have to recuse yourself in case the board is wanting to do something about it. So if you're out on the boat and see something happen, you should try and step back and not take and challenge somebody. You should pull out your authority, which would be your lake patrol. If you're on the golf course, it should be whoever managing the golf course.
Can we have quiet back there, please? We can hardly hear him up here. Thank you, Peter.
It's not to reduce what your authority is. It's if there is a vote that has to be made by this group against some sort of disciplinary action, If one of you are involved in that, then you shouldn't be there making the decisions. I can't remember your name, but you're in government. That's usually how officials do it. They try and stand back and let the managers and employees do it. And then if there is a situation, then they have the opportunity to discipline. So I strongly recommend that you step away from trying to help out and stay there for when a situation comes to the body as a whole. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I just be clear, basically what you're saying, if I see a violation of some type, whether it be golf or whatever, the best thing to do is to get authority involved and step back.
Right, that way you're not involved in.
We made the policy, but now we have other people
To enforce
them.
Yeah.
And let the people who have the authority to enforce them do the work.
Right, and then if something happens, then you're available to make that decision
Right.
because you weren't part of that, whatever happened.
Right.
But I mean, you can be there and seeing it, but as long as you're not involved in it, you see what I'm saying? Thank you.
Any other property owner comments at this time? Then, there are no other comments, I'd like to move to old business, bulk sales, or bulk lot sales issue. And Mr. Kaiser and I have talked about different opportunities for multi-lot sales, but that is so convoluted at this time between just the two of us that we really needed to have a working meeting. We needed to have some additional help. We do have single lot sale policy that's well defined, and if we followed that single lot policy for multiple lots, I didn't see where we had the opportunity to discount, unless, Betsy, you received something from our attorneys on a way to discount multiple lot sales, because I haven't seen anything.
There was no magic formula or anything to the discount. All they said was that at this time, the only lot sales pricing that has been approved by the commissioners is the single lot. So they're not saying that we can't do bulk lot sales. There's no magic formula that says how much we have to ask for that. But we can do them.
Thank you. Any other discussion amongst our commissioners on multiple lot sales?
Not right now.
So we will ask to table that for another meeting and continue to work those issues in the future.
May I make another statement?
Yes,
I
ma'am.
know that we've talked about the $25 and everyone agreed that was just not on the table. What I did go back to is looked at the big number that I made the comment on several times last year, that it's at the end of June 30th, we had $130,000 in our 5% of the lot sales that we received from ALC. I got a number from Jonathan, which I believe was 4,187 lots. So that 4,000 lots, our 5% was 130,000, which ended up being about $37 a lot in that situation. But if I took the $4,000 and multiply that times the $90, which was less than average of what those lots are going to bring us, then we're looking at $360,000 in assessments. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. So, I know that we've got to have a starting place. Maybe it's we do 10 lots. Maybe it's a 20 lot, but something that would promote someone to want to buy more than one lot, even around their home. Some of the lots that we've sold this year as SID has been just that. Residents come in and buy 2 or 3 lots right around their home. So that would be an option to give a multi-discount in that way too. Just something to start with.
Thank you, Betsy. I am aware of at least one other individual who really wanted to purchase multiple lots around their home. And I've been over to see them, and it would make sense from the perspective of the equipment that they want to put in, but then they'd have to go back to the city to make sure they could put in the garages and the things they also wanted to meet those rules as well. So, any additional discussion? I think, Mr. Martin, you had raised your hand.
Yes. I think when you start talking about lots and lot sales, you got to remember there are improvements on some of those lots. So you just can't make a judgment and say this is what we're charging for a lot. I hope I'm clear on that.
Your point's very clear. I've looked at a number of homes that have gone to foreclosure that have improvements on them, and that is a concern when we talk to different individuals. And I'm certain that Ms. Watt and some of our other commissioners have also had that discussion with individuals for various reasons. So thank you, sir, for bringing that up. Let's conclude our old business there on bulk lot sales and move to new business.
We need to make a motion on this, either to table it or bring it up in older business again. But personally, I think we need to sit down and talk with us and realtors in the area, figure out what an equitable plan is. So if we have a working meeting with the realtors, that might be something we can look to in the future.
I got a question, I'm new here. So if somebody wants to come in and buy 5 lots, can you buy 5 lots?
Yeah, you can buy 5 lots at a set price we've already set on single sale lots. What we're trying to do is figure out, like, someone like you wants to come in and buy 5 lots, instead of charging them that base set price, we can cut a little deal because you're buying 5 lots.
So what y'all saying, y'all have a price set, if I wanted 5 lots from y'all, I'd have to, did you bring it before you, hey, look, I'll give you this much money for it, will you take it or not, or something like that?
No, our policy is we don't dicker, that's why we got a price list. Okay, but that's what we're working on
So
is,
$10,000 lot is $10,000 lot, isn't it?
yeah,
Okay, that's fine.
yeah.
Thank you. David, you're right. We need to make a motion to table this and move it to be considered later.
Form a committee. Get the realtors on it.
So motions, you're making a motion. Go ahead and make a motion.
Maybe like that.
Yeah.
I make a motion to form a committee between the realtors and whoever else.
Motion's been made by Mr. Stallsmith to form a committee and request a number of realtors to advise the commissioners as well as our general manager on the best approach to purchase, for allowing people to purchase multiple lots. Is there a second to that motion?
I
A
second.
second by Mr. Nebo. Any discussion? Susan? Good?
No, I mean, did y'all call Randy Duncan?
Maybe anybody, I'm just trying to see.
We're just trying to.
We're just making a
Okay.
motion to adopt.
Well, I mean, that's what we talked about, one of us doing last month, so that would be my only discussion. Have we done anything with that yet? No, okay, go.
You're good? Susan, you're good?
Yeah, yes, sir, fine.
Okay. Joe?
Yes.
I'm
David?
good.
Tony? Motion passes. Thank you, David. Thank you, Tony. Let's go ahead and move to new business now. Lake violation policies and procedures, lake enforcement. And David, you're leading that, and if I understand it.
Yes. We've drawn up a policy here for rules and regulations. Betsy's pretty much gone over. People have, let's just put it this way, for the last 10, 15 years, the lake has been pretty much a free-for-all. It's got to stop. We're going to start enforcing the policies on the lakes. Oh, here, just a minute. Okay, like I said, it's been a free-for-all for the last 10, 15 years on the lakes. We are going to start enforcing the policies. This here, did you was this in the packets when you handed them out?
The little checklist with the
Yes.
boxes? Yes.
Okay, so everybody should.
Oh, no, not in the packet for them,
Okay.
just for y'all.
This will be posted on the website, but I'm going to read over it real quick. The 7 lakes in Cherokee Village are private lakes, owned and operated by the Cherokee Village Suburban Improvement District. They may be used only by property owners and their guests. Security officers monitor the lakes and the access to them, and they are empowered to enforce the provisions of this document to deny access to persons without proper SID identification cards and/or lake permits are required, or remove persons violating the rules and regulations. This is, boat owners must provide photo ID, property owner card, and/or guest card when requested. Definition: watercraft, any craft capable of being used for transportation on water. Exceptions: paddle boats, raft, inner tubes, and other similar flotation devices. Okay, here's rules and here's the violations. You'll have one violation: no current year boat sticker, unsafe excessive speed, watercraft being operated in a reckless and annoying manner. Power watercraft must yield to sailboats, anchored watercraft, hand-powered watercraft, and watercraft powered under 6 horsepower. 5-mile-an-hour speed limit within 100 feet of any shoreline. Must follow a counterclockwise direction. Water skiing not permitted between ski buoys and shorelines, nor at any time within 100 feet of the shoreline. Watercraft pool and water skiers must have an observer in addition to the watercraft operator, or be equipped with a wide-angle mirror. No person shall swim more than 100 feet from the shoreline unless contributed to skiing or behind properly marked buoys. No person owning or having control of a watercraft of 10 horsepower or more shall permit a person under 15 years of age to operate said watercraft. No dumping of unused minerals in the lakes. No swimming within 100 feet of the marina or spillway. And you must not and cannot operate a boat intoxicated. These are simple rules. The main thing is the speed limit on the lakes, Thunderbird in Omaha, is 35 miles an hour. It will be enforced. And with that, we have been doing some research with our constables, which Mr. Gruber is here, and he's going to give us a little update on what constables can do. And we're working on a policy, hopefully with Mr. Gruber and Dr. Jackson, on how they're going to be able to enforce these. It's yours, David.
Oh, he doesn't have a microphone.
Yeah, we got
Mr. Neal, you forgot one thing in your sailboats. We've had scuba divers in the lake, and they're supposed to say, I want to say it's 150 foot away from a dive. Yeah.
We need to have that.
There's a flag.
Yeah, we need to add that dive, and the 35-mile-an-hour speed limit.
Okay.
So, I mean, remember scuba divers in the lake.
I haven't seen any out there, but just in case. You
They
never
have
know.
that.
What was that, scuba divers have to what?
It's in that little book.
Okay.
I have to go to the state regulations to see what it is. I like that 150, but I think that's off by 100.
So there's already.
They need to have a flag out.
These got all
Or
of
they
it.
have to have a flag, it's either gonna be on the boat itself or buoy in the water where they're at, that's the buoy.
You know
On the
what?
lake, they're supposed to be able to come up the anchor chain or up the buoy to surface.
Okay. I'll look that up and add that in there. And the 35 miles per hour.
Right.
Okay, so y'all, excuse me, y'all know me, just got back Thursday night late from the police academy down in Canton, so I got all that finished up. But Mr. Neagle contacted me and asked me to come up with some things that I thought we could do. So we've got a real rough draft up here, items that we'll need. Obviously, we need clear, decisive direction on what y'all want done. And I would assume that we'd be out with lake safety. They pull somebody over for speeding and say, we're going too fast, they'd obviously ask them. And if they caught them again, say they got clips on the bird, they can ask to have that person trespass, and that's where I would come. As a constable, we're constitutionally elected officials. My workman's comp is under the county. There's been discussion out there that I've read between whether we're state or we're county or what. And so that's just kind of a toss up in the air at the moment. But in our districts, we do have the same authority as the sheriff. So, there is authority there. My district has Lake Sequoia and Lake Cherokee, Papoose. I go 175 on the east side from almost the school down to the Flathead Bridge, and it goes actually out to Griffin. But I cut off Flathead, I come across over the Base Arc Bridge, cut back across, all that up to Fulton County. And I also provided you a copy of the interlocal cooperative agreement that Dr. Jackson and I are doing, and in my research into that, the Arkansas Interlocal Cooperative Act is out there which governs it. So I had sent this off to our new Attorney General to review as per what I found, and I've yet to hear back from them. They were kind of confused on whether, obviously no constable's done it, but we fit in all the rules and guidelines required of that. So essentially that'll allow me to go into Dr. Jackson's district and him and mine and have the same thing. So we should be able to cross under the bridge into Lake Thunderbird to help out there if needed. But again, we can't, law enforcement can't enforce policy, it's not law. But law we can enforce. Any questions?
Thank you, Mr. Kruger.
What I think we ought to do is sit down with Dr. Jackson and Dave here, and maybe one other commissioner that has a house on the lake. And sit down and get this drawn up and get going, so that way we have it for the holidays.
And Dr. Jackson was going to be here, but he had an emergency come up, so we couldn't make it.
Are you in agreement with that we sit down?
For sure, yeah, we're definitely going to have to. If y'all want to move forward with it, with our help, and again, it's no cost to y'all. We do this free, we don't get paid. I don't get anything, compensation from the county. Some constables do, not very much. I think the highest paid constable in the state is $100 a year, $25 a month gas, and I get sick. So, we're still bound by law enforcement. Like I said, I just finished up all my training, so I am certified. Dr. Jackson's working on his, so he should be hopefully soon.
You're offering your services at no fee at this time, is that correct?
That's correct. You're in my district, you're under our district, so our authority expands out on the lake as well, regardless.
And that's a service for the community, as I understand it and read through this, which Mr. Nebo shared with me a couple of days ago. And we would really very much like to have a couple of commissioners meet with you and Dr. Jackson and perhaps present something else a little bit clearer.
Now that I'm back and kind of had a chance to unwind, Dr. Jackson and I are going to go out and talk to the Fulton County Sheriff to see about some kind of limited jurisdiction out that way. And then the big, where we started doing that was under our neighborhood officers out there. We technically don't have authority unless we see something happen. Then we have to respond. We're bound by that. So we'll be talking about that. We'll let y'all know as we hear things as well.
Is there not another constable for the Fulton County area?
Fulton County redistrict their constables, they got one. So essentially
Is
Fulton
that
County.
Brianna?
No, he's a deputy, I think he's a chief deputy over there. Okay. But they essentially elect two sheriffs. So it's at one paid, one not.
Anybody got any questions for Dave?
Can y'all got my number?
There,
Who takes care of them? As far as constable wise? I think it's the chief deputy over there, I forget his name. I think it's the chief deputy over in Fulton County, I forget his name, I think that's who it is. But, I mean, Fulton County falls under city. The Fulton County side is city, Cherokee Police Department, and then constable, of course, and the sheriff over there. Who's the constable over there? That's what I'm saying, I think it's chief deputy, I'd have to go back and dig through my notes, so try to talk to him. So we're gonna have a right away, partially, just, I mean, if they say it's there, but, I mean, I don't know, there's some things I want to look into legality wise as far as, you know, if we're here helping you and you guys, we have something, we're gonna have to have something writing just to protect y'all and protect us. I don't know, I have to look and see if something's happening over in Omaha. And, you know, one of us is going to be close to that area anyway, so, you know, maybe we can go over there. And I also work body cam, so any interaction with any of the property owners or guests or non-guests will be recorded and, you know, I have to back those up and save them, so y'all would have access to it. In fact, what I was telling David is in this policy that y'all create to work with the constables, you need to have something in there as far as if we end up trespassing, how long until that person gets a meeting with y'all to make the final decision whether he can have his rights back, be back on holiday, or he's gone forever, he or she. And then obviously we would need a list of those people that you granted it back and so on, so we can do that. And my understanding too, as far as you mentioned, driving under the influence, operating under the influence, that was actually in my training. It came up about watercraft, and the way I think the state, they said the state defines it as any vehicle propelled by a motor. So, I mean, obviously that's our wheelhouse as well. But, I mean, again, I did this because I want to help the community, and y'all know what happened a few years ago. That kind of pushed me over the edge for doing it. So I'm not going to be one of the constables sitting in his house watching TV letting things go on. I want to get out and be seen and predator.
okay.
Are you saying we're gonna look for, talk to Fulton County to see if
Yes.
come up with some kind of agreement?
Yeah, I
You guys
got
would go to Omaha,
Right. I don't want to go over there by myself. I want to
Right.
let Dr. Jackson go.
but you would need some kind of an agreement with Fulton County.
Yeah, we might ask Tech and Chanute.
Yeah, with Sid.
Right.
And
Just
yeah.
like we're doing with the local cooperation agreement with Doc Jackson, I mean, I'm sure we're going to have to do something like that over there to make it legal. There's a couple of ways around it. I mean, you could do that, or they can do two other things, which is put us on the reserve department, or the county can deputize us, and the same thing here in Cherokee. And a bunch of us constables in the northeast Arkansas are trying to get the stigma of constables changed.
Okay.
We,
Yeah.
Tony and I will.
Yeah, just get in touch with me, let me know. I'm free, we just gotta, work around Dr. Jackson.
Okay.
I think he's off, I don't remember if it's Wednesday or Friday, he leaves around noon, so.
Wednesday afternoon.
Wednesday afternoon.
Do David and Tony live next to each
Yes.
other?
Thank you, guys. Thank you very much. One thing that does come to mind is with Memorial Day coming up, people are going to have family here and not have their boats registered. And we've let folks know many times that it would really behoove them to have the property owner make sure that the boats are registered and the people have the appropriate passes to be on and in our facilities. Did I miss something there, Betsy?
No.
Reason why I asked Betsy is because Betsy has been stalwart in enforcing some of it at times to her, what do you want to call it? Shot, trying to shoot you?
No, I have no problem doing my job, no problem.
So we just want to make sure that we may let people know that we are customer friendly as much as we possibly can be. Anything else? Any further discussion?
Thanks, Dave.
Thank you. Thank you, David.
Thank you. Comments are held to the end. Comments are held to the end.
You'll have another chance, Mr. Martin.
Golf rule update, our next item of new business.
We have Mr. Thompson here that's going to report for the golf committee.
Tweet.
Mr. Thomas?
Yeah, my name's Larry Thomas. I live on 30 Cohasset Drive, Cherokee Village. I've been a golfer here for 35 years now, so I retired here to play golf and fish. And these rules, we come up with golf committee for these rules, and everybody agrees to them on our committee. So we'd like to have the council look at these rules and make sure that they're adhered to. It's awful, you're out there playing golf, you don't want to hit anybody, you know. I don't know who would be responsible, I assume the golfer would be, but if you're not supposed to be on the course, don't be on the course. Keep your animals off the course. The course is not made for walking, even though you pay SID taxes. That makes, you live on the golf course, you pay SID taxes, which is higher than normal. And you pay that for the view you get, and the golfers going by. So, people that live off the golf course don't pay extra SID taxes for that. So, y'all have a copy of the new rules and regulations. So I'd like to, I'm not going to read it for everybody, but if anybody wants to see it, they can get it from the commissioner right there. Any questions?
No questions.
Thank you, Mr. Thomas.
You know, with all the stuff that's been said in social media and everything, there is only one golf course in the United States that lets people walk on their course. And believe it or not, that is St. Andrews. It is a public course. No other golf course in the U.S. will let a person go out and walk while people are playing because of the liability of being hit by a golf ball. No public course out there lets people walk their dogs and let their dogs do their thing. There's been a couple of times I've gone to get my golf ball and I'm completely disgusted. Because there's somebody out here, I know whose dog it is, that they let run loose. Folks, we have a liability on these golf courses. SID does, and SID is us. I agree with these rules to let people walk after and before the hours the course is opened up. Nobody's supposed to be out playing golf at that time. So this is a legal liability SID has for people on the golf course. So I hope people can adhere to these rules that we're trying to put in place. People have had it good for a long time. Like I said, we are here to start enforcing the rules that SID has had in place and we are putting in place. Okay? Any other comments?
I'll reiterate what he said. I just think it's a liability issue as far as play. Golfers know that there's balls coming and going, they're watching out, they kind of take it, you know, well, if I get hit it's because I'm not paying attention or whatever. You're just walking out there, and the ball gets hit, you get hit. If we don't tell you, no, you can't do it, if we say it's allowable, then we're liable for any damages that might happen. And I personally don't want to be liable for that. Secondly, if I'm a golfer, and I know there's going to be people walking out there, dogs running out there and slowing my play, I might find another course to go to. I don't want to play the course that's going to be, I'm going to have to stop people that don't even pay to come on to play the game. So I know we all talked about people pay for it, pay for it, pay for it. I pay for it too. I live on a lake, but I paid for it. But I'm still going to pay extra to get on that course to play it. None of the amenities that we have here are self-sustaining. There's not a single amenity we have that's self-sustaining. The assessments are what sustains all of our amenities. Not our, you know, there's not any extra fee that's going to ever sustain the golf courses, the rec centers, the lakes. None of these fees that we're collecting are going to do that. So, I mean, I'm with these rules too. Dogs and walkers, while there's play, need to be not on the golf course.
So should we read these out loud?
Can I ask a question?
Yes, sir.
In the normal realm of play, can a golfer elect to walk and pull his cart?
Yes.
You can walk 9 or walk 18.
Yes.
Because my golfing experience was old school from southeast Missouri. It was all flatland, and it was really easy to walk a flatland course. These wouldn't be so easy, but that was my question.
We actually have people that do walk out there.
It'd be great exercise for me. I need to do it, but, okay, that's my only question.
The only thing that I've received in email was a note that said, how come you have to pay 50% early on if you're going to schedule a golf tournament? We've never done that, and none of the other courses in the area do that. And I have not checked on the other courses, but it allows us to confirm that the golfers will be here, that we can set up and support the golfers. And then after I sent that message, a person said, well, we need some more help from the pro shop when that occurs. So I asked specifically what they meant, and I did not receive a response back. So that's the only thing, Betsy, that we might want to consider. Maybe it's less, or maybe we can work a little different opportunity in the future. I believe that the 50% upfront really does allow us to focus and support those tournaments much better.
Well, if you don't mind me speaking, the contract that I pulled out was an existing contract. It just was a contract that hadn't been used in years. What we've asked for a 50% deposit is to hold a date. So if other golfers come, and we do have groups of 12, 20, 24 golfers that come in, that we tell them we have a tournament scheduled for that day. We are losing those green fees by scheduling a tournament, and then something happens and the tournament doesn't come, then we've lost on both sides. I think in any business, any agreement, when you enter into an agreement with someone, there is some sort of deposit or down payment that is required. I'm not sure who you're speaking of because you haven't shared that with me, but I can also tell you I already have 2 signed contracts for tournaments this year and deposits paid for both of those. So I don't believe that it is an act or a business that we shouldn't be doing. That's only securing that we're going to be having the tournaments that they're wanting to book.
And I promised the person I'd bring it up in this environment. And
Absolutely.
I think we've done that, and that keeps our word and our trust with those individuals so they understand. And I believe I've already said the same thing to them.
Right.
But, you know, people want what they want, so.
Well, and I can say, one of the tournament sponsors came in and, we negotiated range balls. That's something that we've always given, but it was something special. We wrote in the contract, they're going to use our coffee pot. We put that in the contract. Anytime they want to come in and sit down and let's talk about what they need from us to host their tournament at our facilities, I am welcoming and open. I would say too, on this golf regulations, number 6 was the only other item that was really changed, and that was regarding golf attire. I think that at all golf clubs and golf courses that there is a certain attire that we expect, and it's become very relaxed to where we've got people wearing tank tops with the holes cut out in their arms down low. I've had a gentleman show up wanting to golf in boots. There just needs to be a certain golf attire, and that was addressed in number 6. None of the other rules really had anything to change.
Is number 11
Can you hold your comment
6 and
please to
11.
the end, Mr. Martin?
and 11?
Any other discussion on the golf update and regulations rules? Then let's go ahead and move to one of my favorite new topics.
Do we want to,
Which,
We need to make a motion
Mr.
to
Thomas,
approve.
yeah, a motion to,
good point, David.
no, this rules and regulations for golf.
Would someone please make a motion to approve the rules and regulations identified by the golf committee?
Make a motion. Approve these rules and regulations.
I second.
Tony Stahl-Smith made a motion to approve the rules, regulations, seconded by Mr. Neville. Any discussion?
Well, should it go to old business, but should it go to unfinished business before we make that decision?
It's under new business.
Shouldn't it
It's
go to
under new
old business?
business
Shouldn't
right
it go
now.
to, it's under new business now.
Right.
It has to go.
It could
I
go
just
to
think
new
it needs
business
to go-
next time, which is what I thought we might do.
It's in new business
It's
now.
in new business, so it should go to old business,
And
30
vote on
days
it.
to talk before a
And then
vote.
it gets, that's what I
Yeah,
was
I
reading.
think that's,
Right.
okay.
So a motion to
I
take it to old
scratch
business.
that out.
Withdraw the motion.
Motion withdrawn. Let's go on, and one of my favorite new topics, as I started to say, and Betsy, Susan, and I have been in a couple of meetings with Jonathan from the advertising and promotion area, who's heading up an issue called the 2024 Eclipse. And that'll be on April the 8th, and we are so blessed in that Cherokee Village is right in the path that has about a 4-minute, 10 to 20 to 30-second dark period. And I really want to thank Mr. Scott Winters for educating me on several things, because he's already experienced one. And then we've had an opportunity to talk several times. Betsy and I went to last meeting, and we are working now on where people could utilize our parking lots to view the golf tournaments that could potentially occur. One thing I would make sure that you do, though, is you have your special window to the world, your glasses so that you don't hurt your eyes. And I know that there are a number of those available now through the advertising and promotion folks. Betsy, anything you'd like to add from our last meeting?
I think what I'm gathering from the Total Eclipse Task Force is that we really want to join together in the community as a whole. Sid has certain properties, Cherokee Village has certain properties, and so I think really what the task force is about is us all coming together as a community to be able to accommodate as many people that are going to come to our area. And I think that the focus is on finding things for them to do before the actual eclipse is on a Monday, and possibly things for them to do afterwards. We don't want it to be a one flash visit. We would like this to be a good experience and bring people back in the future when it's not an eclipse here. So those are going to be the things that we're going to work towards and talk about what our different properties, how much we can accommodate, what we can do to accommodate, and that's what we'll be working on. So we'll leave Eclipse on the old business every month going forward just to keep everybody updated, and we would love to hear any suggestions that y'all would have that would be something good we could do. Is that fair to say?
Oh, absolutely, because there is so much planning that has to happen to make sure that the people are safe, that the people enjoy it, have an experience that they want to be talking about for hopefully years to come, and then actually move here to retire here or enjoy the things that are available, the amenities that we have because they own property and they're part of Cherokee Village in the future. Any other comments, guys? Betsy, you have a GM update for us?
I do. This Saturday, the 22nd, will be our annual Property Owners Golf Tournament. We will have a shotgun start at 9 a.m. Registrations will start at 8. We'll have a full hot breakfast. Fred's Fish House is coming in for lunch. We have 21 teams signed up, foursomes, so we'll have a good turnout, and we're really excited, hoping we'll have some good weather. That tournament is not a tournament for us to make profit from. It's a very low expense to the golfers at $45 a person. We're going to do 3 flights of payouts and basically give everything back that we have left over after the expenses in prizes, in food, in cash payouts. So we're hoping that this will be a good start off and kick off to bring this tournament back, and that we'll grow on it. The swimming pool will have its pressure test tomorrow. This is the next biggest thing to make sure that we have nothing leaking. Next week, the pool company comes back. They'll do all the tile work on the inside. Our skimmers and everything have been replaced. They were all cracked and leaking, so that's all fixed. Once the tile work comes in, they will pour the coping May 1st. Well, they'll pour the coping, then the decking, and then May 1st, the pool company will be back to refinish the inside. That will leave us 3 weeks to get our fencing back up and to get the water in the pool, which I think we're going to be more than able to do that. So I feel really good about Thunderbird Pool, and I feel like that the pool will now be able to withstand all of our lifetimes and into our grandchildren's lifetimes. It comes with a 25-year warranty on that interior of the pool, so we should be safe on that. March 2023 financials are on my agenda. Chris in our office does all of our accounting. We had a little glitch this morning. She was in tears when I left at 2:30. We don't have financials for review today. I will post them before the end of the week online, and I can put those financials back on next month if anyone has any questions. Anytime and always, if you see something and you have a question about it, you don't have to wait to a meeting. Call my office. I will go through it. I'll explain it, whatever I can do to help with that. The last thing that's not on this list that I still want to talk about is our surplus sale. Ended on March 31st, and we made $13,297 on old equipment and old stuff that just didn't work for us anymore. So I'm really happy to see some clean space, and we're cleaning things up and getting rid of things, and that money is going to be a nice little bonus. So that's all I have to update.
Thank you very much, Betsy, and we really appreciate all the hard work on Thunderbird, and we're really excited about those individuals who would like to donate $2 million to us so we can build an Omaha pool commensurate with the same pool at Thunderbird. Excuse me, maybe I spoke out of turn there, but those are the main questions that I get about the Omaha pool. When are you going to get your $2 million? When we win the lottery, I guess. Any other comments, Betsy?
I'm good, thank you.
At this point, I'm going to do a little education thing, kind of. And the reason why I wanted to do this is we have new individuals who have moved here or may have forgotten some of the things that was said prior to the lawsuit that we had. And here's the document. I'm just going to read the document and then provide it to our newspaper so they can print it in the paper that we have. It says, what is SID? And this is from 2017, generated by former commissioners, 2 of which have I've passed on at this point. So it says the following is a brief outline of what the responsibilities of the SID are and how it operates. Should anyone have questions, please feel free to contact SID, and that would be the phone number that we have, 870-257-2468, and Ms. Waugh will then field those questions or then ask a commissioner to assist there. The following name of the SID is a tongue twister. It is Cherokee Village Road and Street Recreational and Fire Department Suburban Improvement District Number 1. It is commonly referred to as the Improvement District and even more commonly as the SID or simply SID. Please bear in mind, Cherokee Village was the first planned retirement community in Arkansas and became the prototype for many others to follow. However, here new ground was being broken. The SID was formed in 1969 to accept responsibility on behalf of the property owners for the custody, maintenance, and operation of all the amenities donated to the property owners by the developer. In order to accomplish this, the developer deeded said amenities to the Suburban Improvement District. These amenities currently include the 7 lakes, 2 golf courses, 2 pro shops, Thunderbird and Omaha rec centers, along with playgrounds, miniature golf courses, and swimming pools. Now, we know that the Omaha pool is no longer in commission. North Recreation Center, 2 tennis courts, horseshoe courts, maintenance complexes near both the north and south golf courses, 1 marina each on Lake Thunderbird in Omaha, a 16-slip floating dock on Lake Sequoia Beach campgrounds. At the time, there were 4 fire stations, now there are 3, and a number of parks plus other buildings and facilities. The district exists under the authority of the laws of the state of Arkansas. It is governed by a board of 5 commissioners. I've updated that because it used to be 3. When vacancies occur, replacements are appointed by the surviving commissioners according to Arkansas law. And that was 1981 law and has been challenged, and we have at this point been able to revert back to that 1981 law. The Board of Commissioners has the obligation and the authority under the law to employ personnel, to establish operating rules, to assess levies against the properties, and generally to protect, maintain, and manage all the facilities, and to take any other actions it deems necessary in keeping with its basic charter to provide maintenance for recreational facilities. And it used to include roads and grounds with an amount of money that went to the city once the city was formed. However, that has changed. The board employs a general manager who is our administrative officer. The board establishes policies, and the general manager sees to the execution of those policies. The district levels assessments against each lot based upon the estimated value that the combined total of all the facilities, amenities, and services have to each lot. The levy is assessed against the lot only, without regard as to whether a home is built on the lot. Thus, assessments are paid by all lot owners, whether resident or non-resident. It is important for everyone to keep in mind that approximately 80% of SID assessment income is derived from non-resident property owners. This assessment will be included on the respective county tax bill identified as Improvement District. The total levies assessed each year, along with the fees SID collects for use of the facilities, together make up the total income of the district, which is used to fund the cost of its overall operation. In summary, the district maintains and operates all recreational facilities, parks and recreation, golf courses, lakes. The CID does not have authority to take any action or to spend property owner funds for anything that is not covered by these functions. Hopefully, those were the commissioners at the time, have given you a little insight into what is SID. But in addition to the Board of Commissioners, the administrative officers, and the employees who turn the wheels, what makes things work in Cherokee Village is obviously the property owners. That's just a little bit of history. Now that we have 5 commissioners, we've established the need through the election process. And the commissioners are elected for 4-year terms. We still have issues with how we're having replacements made, which is something that caused a little bit of concern. And Ms. Waugh and some of us have talked at one time to the judge for Sharp County, because most of the residents are in Sharp County, for where we were headed, and that was Judge Gene Moore. It is now Judge Mark Counts, the newest person, and I've been in to see him multiple times already. He's busier with the county, and this is something that is on the back burner for him. With the next election being in 2024, there are individuals who will most likely put their name in the hat, and we hope that they earn your trust in the future, as we hope that the 5 of us who act as ambassadors for Cherokee Village, both in Cherokee Village and outside when we're away, are earning your trust as well. Any comments, team? Again, that's just a little bit of history, and please hold your comments, please, until the very end. With that, no comments being made. Today, I've had my second conversation with the newest Arkansas senator for our area. That's John Payton, and we spoke quite a while regarding the laws as they impact SIDs. We had a little education between the 2 of us, who, since he's brand new and doesn't live in one, but has been inundated with the Horseshoe Bend activity. And so I will provide for him, or I'll ask Ms. Waugh to provide to Senator Payton a copy of the lawsuit so that he can have full access to what we went through a couple of years ago and how our requirements have been somewhat changed so that we can either build a committee at the legislative level with other SID and POA, property owner associations, people, so that it makes sense and that the laws actually are effective for all of our SIDs and POAs. And an example was one, House Bill 1448, which required the judge for our county to be involved in our activities when we needed to replace a commissioner, and we were able to get an attorney general opinion and actually reflect the approach that we took, which was the existing commissioners could then interview and appoint for this go. And I believe that will be the standard from what I talked with Senator Payton today, but it is only in the working stages at this point. Now that concludes our agenda, and we at this point would open up the floor, if there are no discussions on that, to the property owners again. If you have any additional comments, I know Mr. Martin, you had raised your hand a couple of times. for things that you thought we needed to have identified.
I still have,
Okay.
I would like the commissioner's comments on Lake Shore. What is a reasonable, not depth, but from the shoreline out into the lake, what is a reasonable amount that a property owner should have entitlement to?
Nothing, it is Sid's property.
That's a trick question.
No.
That's a trick question.
If you look at the plats,
He
of the
lives
property
on
plats.
Sequoia. It's a trick question, believe me.
Oh, it
It
is?
is,
Yes.
it is a
It
trick
is?
question.
Yes, so, I'm a son.
No, that's okay.
What happened on Lake Sequoia is Lake Thunderbird was built after Cherokee and
Right.
Sequoia, and the lake was raised. Our houses were all planted early. He had 30 foot of his lake frontage taken up with the rise of the shoreline. That's why when you go on Sequoia and you go floating around, you'll see so many homes almost right up on the shore.
Right.
That's why. So, technically, we're going by flats. He has 30 foot out into the lake, and then it starts. So you've seen a lot of people, him included, taking up and reclaiming part of their shoreline. So, it's a trick question. Technically, we're supposed to do something off the rear, but that gets a little bit confusing. So, knowing your history helps for that.
Yeah.
So, and that's the only lake in Cherokee Village that applies to. And we did the same thing when they came in and wanted to charge us for flooding, which was another hilarious thing. They were worried about selling everybody on Sequoia flood insurance, and we'd have to pretty much breach the dam, and everybody below us would be worse off than we would be. But that's a whole other story. Sorry about that.
No, that's okay.
That was a trick question.
Didn't realize that. Thank you.
Richard Sackett, 21 Tishomingo Drive. I want to thank you for what you do. It's a difficult job and steep learning curve. I'm back again to hereby request that the Cherokee Village SID Commission send a letter to the owner of each parcel that claimed an assessment refund or refunds. That is, each parcel claimants for the 3-year high assessment to be paid over the next 7 years from SID lot sales. The first payment, and I think reconciliation was due January 23 in accordance with the settlement. I haven't seen any of that, and so although the SID Commission apparently does not have sufficient money to distribute, claims should be reconciled, marked valid, or given a proper audience. It seems SID should send a formal letter to valid claimants explaining the situation. Another letter to the ones that SID deems to not have a valid claim, stating why it is not valid, and a process to correct errors. For those who have it without a valid claim, they deserve to know they do not have a valid claim, which I don't think anybody besides me knows that, but I don't know why. Who decided that and for what reason? Their claim was submitted and validated by lawyers, but in my case, only 5% found valid by the SID Commission representative. How many others do not know where the claim is valid? Why are these claims not valid? Who has the final authority? Is there an arbitration process? All claims denied deserve a letter informing the claimant they were denied, why, and an opportunity to arbitrate that claim. SID Commission is responsible to validate and place claims for a 3-year high assessment rather than the settlement attorney question mark. The SID Commission has not yet sold enough lots in a profitable way nor set a goal so there's adequate lot money to distribute to claimants. But if or when the reconciliation is completed, the SID Commission should set a goal to pay these validated claims in the remaining 6 years of the lot sales and assure all valid claims receive some payment. Most important, send a letter now for the purpose of communicating valid or those deemed not valid. A letter for each parcel number claimed would be good, and the reason I say that is I represent other people, so I don't need it in advance. I need it to pass on to each parcel number. I do have copies of that if you'd like to have a copy of it, other than just verbal.
Yes, sir, please, that would be super to have for Ms. Waugh, Ms. Jett, Joe, myself. I'll give one to David, I'll have one with Thank you, Jake.
Thanks.
Is this where that email came from?
Probably so. Did you get it as well?
You sent it to me.
Yeah.
Penny Trumpy, I live on Sandal, Alfonso. Got a couple questions. Do we have an update on the miniature golf and when that is going to be finished?
Are you asking me Omaha Center?
Yes.
We do not. We are still having some issues with some drainage. We've got 3 holes down there that when we have these massive downpours of rain that we've had, the water's rushing down and flooding them with mud again. So I could not move forward to ask permission to purchase the grass until I can make sure I'm not going to ruin it with the mud.
Second of all, just FYI, I live on Lake Omaha, and your policies that you're looking at, do you have policies for fishing at night? The reason I say that is there's somebody fishing at night by big flashlight that lights up my house, and I do not like big lights shining in my house at 12 and 1 o'clock at night. Second of all, there are people siphoning gas again. We've already had it done twice this year.
Did you report it to us? I know once we've heard about it in 2022, but you're saying it's happened twice in 2023?
Yes, within the last couple of weeks, and due to some things going on in my life, probably not.
Siphoning gas from where?
Off the boat?
Siphoning gas off the boat?
Yes, we,
At your
Tom put
dock?
5 gallons of gas in our boat one night. We went around the lake once, got out the next night and made it from here to the parking lot and ran out of gas.
That was last year, right?
Nope, that was 2 weeks ago.
Okay, and your boat is parked at your dock behind your house, so it's not happening at the marina. It's
No.
somebody who's out on the lake going to the individual.
The boat that was fishing, and I don't know if you have rules and regulations for night fishing, but and I don't know who you call. I mean, we ended up calling the police that night. But it's, like I said, with the house, the back of our house being blasted, my house was lit up until 1 o'clock at night because somebody was fishing with a flashlight.
The only rules we'd have on fishing would be what the DNR has.
Down.
For night fishing.
And I don't know, I mean, there again, and the police can't do a whole lot about it because they can go sit in the marina and hope they come back, but we watched this boat take off and go down towards the dam, and then all of a sudden just went dark. So it went down where it couldn't be seen, shut every light off, and sat there for about 40 minutes. And then it showed back up in our cove where it fished, and that's where the lights kept coming in and out of my house.
How often does this happen?
That's the first time that that's happened that bad. He's been out there several times fishing at night, and then for some reason he likes that cove that we live in.
Does he intentionally shine them lights on your house, or is it just lit up around his boat and you see a reflection from it?
No, it comes into my house.
He's pointing it at your house.
He's pointing it out over the water and out. He's not, I don't know how he's pointing it, but my house goes up, and because of health issues, I'm sleeping in my living room. and the whole back of my house is glass, and I have this big light flashed right, my whole house is lit up, so it's not a reflection. And even in the spare room, in the other room, it's all lit up.
Thank you.
Excuse me, have you made a police report on this gas station? Have you made a police report with it on the gas station?
I talked to them, yes, but
They didn't make a report?
not officially. Like I said, some things going on with me is just, that's not my top priority. But I just wanted you to know that because it is starting to happen again. Just FYI, and take this as a grain of salt, but sitting and listening about the walking on the golf courses, when you have, football has their rules, basketball has their rules, every sport has their rules, golf has their rules. It doesn't matter what you pay, if you pay, or what your seat costs, the rules are the rules. And that's what golfers know.
Thank you, Penny, appreciate it.
Can I make a comment on that?
Yes, sir, please.
The night fishing thing has been a source of anger and a source of excitement for a lot of different people. We have a lot of guys at night, they bass fish at night. And in the unfortunate thing about fishing at night is you have to have a light or you can't see what you're doing. So and I've discussed this and mentioned this to others, so if it's a real problem with guys fishing at night on the lakes, if we take that away from those guys fishing at night because it's an invasion of people's privacy because a light is shining in their house, then that should be a curfew that is enabled on every single lake in Cherokee Village, that all persons cannot be on the lake from dusk until sunrise, including fishermen, pontooners, and happy-go-luckiers. So I don't see any way to exclude fishermen just because they're fishing with a flashlight. Same thing with people in pontoons out there with loudspeakers and shining their big lights around. So we got to come to some kind of deal right there.
Or using their
That I
landing
can
lights to
understand,
see.
when you're fishing 20 feet off of the shoreline, I mean, he's right at the end of my dock.
Yeah, but that's still water, and I mean,
I understand.
and I don't know. I think that if we're going to eliminate that, we're not going to do our night thing anymore. So you can't blame rocks or anybody else anymore.
You guys are out there till 1 o'clock in the morning.
Because we ain't doing it anymore. We got too much rhetoric over it, so we're not going to do it anymore.
You
And
guys are out there till 1 o'clock in the morning.
but I know what you're talking about, and that's a mess. But I do think if the commissioners, we got to come together and come up with something on the night deal. If we want to do that, if we don't, then that's that. So.
Need to add that to our lake rules.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Penny. Who's next? Dita.
Follow up. Okay.
Philip Dedes, could you
Yeah,
please
Philip
tell us who
Dedes,
you are?
Okay. Lake Omaha. Number one, there is more lakes in this place than Thunderbird. Thunderbird gets all attention, everything else. It's been going on ever since I've been here. Before I ever moved in, I was telling people that, hey, people coming from all over the place to hunt, to fish on Omaha. No. You have to have this, you have to have that. I see it all the time. I see them out there with no stickers all the time. There's no lake safety. There wasn't any last year. I called the police one night because there's a guy out there, or people out there, riding around the lake, shining a spotlight on houses, looking. There's a house across from me that's been vacant all year. They're looking at that place, scoping it out. I called the police. This was not about fishing. Okay, I never got any response. That's the reason I asked Dave a little bit ago, who's responsible for Omaha? Apparently, nobody is. You want to enforce rules, how are you going to do it? You can't just look at one lake. So don't sit up here and say we're going to enforce these rules unless you got somebody doing it.
There's not lake safety on Omaha?
Last year we had troubles with the boats. We've rectified that this year.
So we're gonna have lake safety this year, right?
We had lake safety last year.
We did have lake safety last year.
We've rectified the boat problem we had last year.
Part of what we're also working working with Dave Bruger here. With the constables is something that can take care of the situations with.
But that's the reason I asked him, who's got Omaha?
Well, that's what I said.
It's in Fulton County, that's what he answered.
Getting them to have an agreement to go into Fulton County to do that. That's what
Okay.
we understand there's a problem.
We need some attention on Omaha, just like, other than Thunderbird.
We know that.
Omaha is the second largest lake we have. Okay?
Thank you, Philip, appreciate it.
You still got 47 seconds.
Hi, I'm Mary Gorski. I live at 218 East Lakeshore Drive, and I just, regarding the night fishing, I think we're losing the concept here. We live on Sequoia, and I can tell you that when the lake has been recently stocked, we have had boats race down to the end of the lake, and I mean, it's a floodlight, and they're net fishing. So it's not happened this year, but it happened last year and happened the year before. So there do need to be some guidelines on what night fishing is allowed. It doesn't, I'm not saying that guys shouldn't be going out at dusk on their bass boat. Actually, it's kind of pretty to watch from our dock. But the floodlighting and the net fishing to try to get all the stock that y'all paid money for is a problem. And it's, I don't know who's getting the info, but it usually is when there's actually been fish stock to the lake. For us, I don't know about Omaha, but I know for Sequoia that has happened. So.
Well, I'll address that a little bit. As far as I know, we have not stocked the lakes in probably 2 to 3 years, so.
Since
Well, they've done it more recently.
2019.
There hasn't been any stockings done, so let me.
So they've done it since the stocking, but I mean, it's not like one guy out there with a rod. It's like somebody out there, and
So-
the line is unbelievable.
Our lakes are under the jurisdiction of the Arkansas Game and Fish Commission because our waters all flow into public waters. So therefore, if you see violations occurring of something like that, you should contact the Sheriff's Department, who will immediately contact the Arkansas Game and Fish Commission, and those guys are like state troopers on steroids. And they will, let me tell you what, they will take care of the issue quickly. And we are bound by Arkansas Game and Fish laws.
And they carry big guns.
They do have big guns in their truck and their waist. But we are bound by those laws. So anybody seeing a violation like that, I would encourage you to contact our deputy office or something to have them contact, or even Dave could probably contact Game and Fish pretty quick. That'd take care of that.
If you'd let the SID office know when you see things like that too, we can let Lake Safety kind of try to identify where those boats are. If they've got a sticker on it, that number tells us who that boat belongs to, and we can do a little bit of the research too to try to find out what's going on.
What happened under the old administration now, I think someone else called me about it. They actually went out at the far end of the lake with a big drag net and dragged.
Oh,
And
wow.
I let Dave Webb know.
Right.
At the time, and I don't know whatever happened.
Right. But yeah, if you see something like that, let me know. Let me know, and I'll do some research to see if we can identify who it is.
And another thing, if we all have these, if you get down close enough, take a picture of their registration, send it to Betsy. I've done it a couple times. I've had people out there without stickers on their boat, and I took a picture of it.
We're not getting pictures of registrations.
Right.
If they're seining up those big grass carp, go give them a high five.
Yeah.
And let's all go down there and get a batch and dump them somewhere in somebody's farm. Okay.
Wayne Lindstrom, I've been resident at 48 Flathead for 20 plus years. I own the dock shop up in Holland. I was just touching base on a proposal that I submitted at the last meeting. It kind of flashes back to the initial discussion here about Lake Sequoia, where there was an extra 30-some feet of property that was owned before it was flooded, and thus in my circumstance that I submitted to you in that proposal, it kind of explains why Molly Fox's situation is what it is. And at some point, whether you've addressed it or you haven't, keep that into consideration when we try to figure out what to do to rectify this climate. A usable, safe way to enjoy the lake that she's been a resident for well over seven 7 to 10 years, so it's not like she just bought a lot, decided she wanted to put in a fancy new dock. So anything that you guys could submit to me, or at least suggest in a way to go about repairing what she has, whether my proposal works or whether something else works, because under the circumstances, we can't replace piers. It's a pier dock. We're having issues with a floating dock because of the depth, and part of that depth is because years ago, before they flooded it, it wasn't in water. And now, it's only in a foot or two of water, and I've got to get 25 to 30 feet that they actually flooded to get something to float. So, when we get a chance to address that, I just wanted to bring it up. It kind of brought something in my research that I found out, trick question or not, the property line is really weird in that particular cove and in that situation. So if anybody has any questions, you have my phone number, you can call me and we'll try to work something out. She's not here, able to be here, so I'm speaking on her behalf, and I'll do any of the correspondence we need to do to try to rectify this for her. She's asking me, I talked to her last week about how we're progressing. Don't know if we have, but when we do, I'll get back with her and be happy to talk to you guys about it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Kathy Ingalls, 19 Ontario Lane. I have something I just want you guys to kind of ponder over a little bit. When I bought my home here, I was not in one of the people that was benefiting with a lower tax assessment. And when they settled the lawsuit, those of us on lakes and golf courses, we had to pay back a difference for having been taxed less real estate tax, or else equal to, what somebody that didn't live on those amenities would pay. So it was settled that, those folks would pay a difference. And I think what was attached to my property was $15,000. But all of the aforementioned occurred before I purchased the property. I bought the property and then found out there was a lawsuit, and then found out that the previous owners had paid less property tax, and so then were paying this large fee. So I think there's a number of us that moved in, and it just didn't have that benefit, and it doesn't appear like it was, like maybe there needs to be a little accounting done to make it legal, if that makes sense, because how do you bill somebody for something that they didn't, use? It's the property, but the property doesn't pay the bills. It was the former owners that had the benefit of less property taxes, so.
There's no answer to that.
Now, what is the question?
Yeah, what do you want, what is
What is
the
the
question?
question?
Well, the question is, I just asked you to kind of think about that a little bit, because
Think about what
it's an unfair thing to put that burden on anybody that purchased a property after
The lawsuit.
that didn't have any benefit from paying less property taxes. Yeah, you're paying back the people that overpaid, but the people that purchased, those people that sold out right there at the end of that, they're the ones that benefited, but we're paying for it. That's not right.
Okay, so what you're saying is that the people that you bought from, who benefited from the lower assessment before
Right.
the lawsuit,
Right.
that you don't get the benefit of that. Is that what you're trying to say?
What I'm trying to say is, when they don't inform you, and a lot of them didn't, from what I understand, I got mine from Rhodes. He managed the property, so I should have been informed by that real estate company, okay? That, that there was a lawsuit against this property I was buying, and there was no disclosure on that. So, other people that I've talked to have had no disclosure either. Now, I don't know where they live, Do you see my point?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know if, you know, if they were hurt or if they benefited from it or, you know, but there's just a balance there that it's still kind of doing this, you know, you think you get justice and lawsuits over, but there's still this kind of thing going on between those of us that are paying for someone else's benefit. So I guess I'm just asking that somehow be really looked at, and I know that's a big thing to ask, but I paid 2 years of property taxes and paid those fees, and I didn't ever get that benefit. So,
Okay.
yeah, I mean, I've got some time yet. I've talked to, you know, a professional real estate attorney, and I do have some time before I actually do anything. So I was just kind of hoping, you know, that this, because it just hasn't been looked at. Maybe nobody thought about it.
Well, Kathy, we have heard a lot of people that have bought houses since the lawsuit, or right when the lawsuit was settled. And they have the same concerns, but as far as the lawsuit settlement is, we have to follow it by the letter. So the problem is not us, it was your real estate agent for not telling you.
Well, yeah, but the thing is, I could go after the real estate, and he's just gonna say, oh no, that's Sid's fault, they're the ones that are, you know, getting this money. And I don't want this circular thing, I don't wanna drag everybody into a court arena and have a judge sort it out, probably one that isn't qualified to.
So what are you threatening us with?
Huh?
So what do you want us to do, Kathy?
Well, what I'm saying is it possible to figure out where these things, you know, are not fair? And
Can I
and
speak
to try
on
to
this?
make that right. And I would think that could be amended.
Can I speak on this, just
Go
from
ahead.
what I'm seeing? And I think I speak for all of us, that none of us sat in any of these positions when that lawsuit was settled.
Yeah.
I started working here, or came here in
Afterwards.
October of
Yeah, I know.
21, the month that the judge signed the settlement. So from going back to the attorney, Hutchison and Bishop, who represented Sid, and asking for clarification about some of the holes in this settlement that we've been talking about, you know, they give us no room for anything to be changed. They tell us that the 2021 appraised land values, whether they go up or down in the next 2 years, will not affect the assessments. They are set by that 2021 amount, and there's nothing that we can be changed for it. You know, the comment that was asked about the refunds, those were all set up through Hutchison and his law firm.
Yeah.
You know, all of the refund information was sent to him. They did all of the reviewing of that information, and then when it came to us and we reviewed it and said, hey, we have this discrepancy, it went back to Tim Hutchison, and he was the one that had to do the clarification and has never done it. So I feel like our hands are tied, and what you're asking is to find some way to adjust those assessments, and I don't think that we have the authority or the power to do that and change that lawsuit.
Is she talking about the yearly assessment that the commission does?
Mr. Kruger, she didn't say that, I don't know.
No,
Yeah, don't put
it was basically those of us that lived on the lakes, we were taxed.
3 minutes
We
are
were taxed,
long.
14 minutes.
Anybody that lived on the lakes were paying pretty much the same tax as the others, is that not right?
So you have a cap on the lake. If you're adjacent to the lake, you have a $7,400 cap.
Okay.
If you're approved, a developed lot, or you have a $3,400 cap if you own the lot and it has nothing developed on it. So your $15,000 lot has a cap, but I don't think $15,000 hits the cap. Don't you pay less than $740?
If you take the $7,400 and pay it out at 6% per year, take you 15 and a half years.
16 years, yes, sir, Mr. Owens, we all know that, and we've shared that. We've shared that with everybody, it's in writing and we put it out there, and that's up to the property owner if they want to take that option.
You did a video on it.
We did do a video
Yeah, we
on it.
did do a video on it.
I'm trying to figure out, let me find my calculator real quick. 15,000 at 36%. You got your calculator open?
I don't know how to use it.
Utilities calculator, here we go. So 5,400, you did not meet the cap. If your property is appraised at 15,000, then your total assessment is $5,400 or $540. The properties like on Lake Thunderbird that are appraised at $30,000, that 36% is over $10,000 in assessments. So that's when that cap was put in there for the 7,400 or the 3,400. But yours at 15,000 is 5,400. So you still pay more than others, but you did not meet the cap that they put in.
On the original assessment, it was assessed at 7,400 across the board. I mean, so it did go up.
Okay,
Ron.
Ron, do something.
Mr. Gregory, you have not been asked to speak, nor do we need you to speak to
Let's table this, please,
There's
Kathy,
no
and come in and talk to Ms. Watt, because Betsy's been very, very good at showing people on the computer where that occurs. She even had to do it to me.
Well, yeah, it's hard for me to understand, but I know that my property's like 1,200, and then with everything else, it comes out to almost 2,050. And the way they explained it at the courthouse was, well, those are all those legal fees, you know.
Oh, and that's not true either. There's no legal fees that are going to show on your assessments. That is absolutely has no fact in it at all. There's no legal fees that are tacked on to your assessments.
Okay, I'm gonna.
Hold on, Betsy, let's just go ahead, please, let's table this and
Yeah, that's
come
fine.
in
I'm
and
gonna
see
need to copy
Betsy.
my tax bill I paid.
And we'll end that at this point. Thank you, though, for bringing that up again for our, if you will, ability to think about through it. That really concludes our SID meeting.
Oh, it looks
I'm
like
sorry.
they're still here.
Mr.
Take
Martin.
3 or 20, just do whatever you want.
Peter Martin, whatever I live in. I live in Cherokee. Basically, did you guys do any teaching with FOIA yet?
No.
Okay,
We're gonna-
because I noticed a little glitch today, and I'm just mentioning it to you because somebody up there said that they were meeting with another commissioner discussing things that were coming up on the board today. Got it recorded. So, you're not supposed to be meeting and discussing current policy unless you're doing it as a open meeting. So, if there's two commissioners sitting down and talking about, we're going to be raising fees, it has to be done as an open meeting. So you tell Betsy schedules an open meeting. If one of you shows up, 2 of you shows up, 6 of you shows up, however many, it's fine, it was open, it was publicized. But if you're going over to the other gentleman's house and discussing things of that nature, technically, that is against the Freedom of Information Act. And the only way I know it is because you said it in this open meeting. So, please be aware of that. Yes?
Question on that. In order to make a decision, do we not have to have a quorum?
No.
If
it is a working meeting, you guys can call a working meeting. People can or cannot show up. Doesn't matter if they do.
But I'm saying.
But you guys can sit and discuss all you want that meeting.
If I'm sitting here, it's just me and him, we're discussing issues, you're saying we can't do that? Just
If
two of us alone?
if it's something that's coming up on an agenda.
Right.
And that's what I heard.
Okay, so if it's something coming up on the agenda, I can't
You
talk to
guys
just
shouldn't
one
be doing
person?
that unless it's at an open meeting.
So when,
So if you want to,
We're not
have
making
an
a
open meeting.
decision.
Well, yeah, no, that's fine.
That's exactly why we are going down to work with Senator Payton because of your comment, because we need a way to work together without having a working meeting. I mean, we've been told not to do that as much as we were, Peter. So that's probably where that came from.
Working meetings are a wonderful thing.
You
guys
Different from special
and the whole thing with that is public is allowed to
Thank
sit
you.
in.
Thank you.
But when two of you are just talking amongst yourselves and it's talking about policy that you're going to be coming up and voting on, that's when it starts hitting illegal. So, if you guys are going, what's for breakfast tomorrow, what's going on, oh, did you hear what happened over at the lake, that's fine. But when you start talking about policy that you're going to be voting on, then that's where it should have been open. And I've been in government for 18 years recording. And a lot of times people would have a working meeting, nobody would show up and they'd be able to discuss whatever they wanted to discuss, but the public didn't afford them the option of actually coming in. So that's legal.
Thank you, Peter, for your point of order there. Appreciate it.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Do we have an executive
Oh.
session? Do we need to talk about it?
One last thing, I want to apologize for my statement earlier. I didn't realize it was part of the camera situation, but I just feel like it's, I don't know if you can move again where you're more direct to the people that are behind those desks. So let's speak out. I appreciate what you do.
Thank you.
We have the opportunity to have an executive session. Do we need one?
I don't.
I don't.
I don't either.
I don't think we're going to need an executive session, so
Motion to adjourn.
there's a question on the, we're going to go by for now.
But you technically didn't vote on it. All in favor of adjourning? Aye. Aye. So it's recorded and it's official. We did vote to adjourn the meeting.